Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending where you are chiming in from in our big, beautiful world today. Would love to know. Go ahead and let us know. Hashtag replay in the comments, and a little love for your city, your town, your province, your state. And we love to see those flags, right? Country that you're in, country that your family resides from. We love to remind us unity eliminates insecurity. We're all in this together. Roderick H. Norville, Full Circle Podcast. What's your story? But right now it is time for LCAO, Lost Coaching Academy Online Book Club. We are taking a journey through the book Coach, the A.L. Williams story, how a no-name company led by a high school football coach revolutionized the life insurance industry. So let's jump right into it. We are still going through quite a bit of the backstory. When we get into the meat of the story, which I kind of know, never read the book, but know of the story, you'll understand why it was so important, right? To give you all of this. So hopefully you're getting something from it. If nothing else, just the passion that this man had for coaching. And obviously that's what we do, and that's what you do. Right? You're a leader. You're leading a business. You're leading your family. Bare minimum, you're leading yourself, right? To show up the best that you can. So let's jump right into it. We are on chapter 7, and this one's titled Kendrick. Our second season at Baxley, we went 7-3 again, and unbelievably, we beat the state's top-ranked team that year too, Dodge County. Oddly enough, by the same score as Waycross, 14-13. News of my coaching success began to get around. 2 years before, nobody wanted a young, inexperienced coach. Now, I was a hot commodity. Head coaching offers came in from all over the state, and it got me itching to move up. I relished the idea of taking on a bigger football program. When I received an offer to be head football coach and athletic director at Kendrick High School in Columbus, Georgia, I accepted, and our family relocated there in the summer of 1968. Baxley to Kendrick represented a big step up in school size, job responsibility, and salary. Appling County High School ranked AA with about 600 students. Kendrick High School ranked AAA, the highest classification in Georgia at the time, with more than 2,000 students. A brand new school, Kendrick opened as the 7th high school in Columbus. My salary jumped to $10,700. Newly built Kendrick had no football program at all. Once again, I would be starting from scratch. Kendrick presented me with a new challenge, a chance to prove that I could build a successful football program and an entire athletic department from the ground up. I saw only positives. And unlike the Baxley situation, I had time on my side. First year. As the school year began, 3 things stood in my favor. First was Ralph Toole, Kendrick's principal. When he hired me, Mr. Toole explained his vision. To him, building a good football team offered the quickest way to get free local publicity and establish Kendrick as a prominent school. Completely committed to that cause, he put me totally in charge from day one. Whatever I needed, I got, including the freedom to choose my own assistant coaches. He believed in me, and I worked hard not to let him down. The second thing was Lou Miller. Lou agreed to join me again as assistant coach, and together we organized every aspect of Kendrick's football program. Uniforms, weight room, weekly practice schedules, and goals. A playbook, even new traditions. In fact, we were so new we didn't even have upperclassmen. Our teams would be made up of freshmen and sophomores only. What a blast. I couldn't wait to see what we could do. The third thing was my brother, Don. When Angela and I moved to Columbus, Mother decided to relocate there as well. Don was a sophomore by then, and Mother wanted him to play football for me. I showed him the playbook, and in 30 minutes he understood our offense. Everything shot off to a great start. Family reunion. Angela and I both taught that first year in Columbus. Our daughter April entered kindergarten in the fall, freeing up Angela to go back into the classroom. She taught English, I coached football. We also made another big decision. That summer, Angela and I began studying for our master's degree at Auburn University. We'd planned it for a long time, and now the time was right. For 2.5 years, we spent summers attending classes at Auburn, and during the school year, we each took a class one night a week. I wanted eventually to be a high school principal, a typical career track for many coaches. A master's degree in school administration would give me the credentials for that position down the line. Angela pursued a master's degree in English. She'd be qualified for college-level teaching. What a hectic time in our lives. Both of us working, raising 2 children. Beyond studying, we continually drove back and forth to Auburn, a 90-minute drive each way. Still, we were investing in our future, doing it the best way we knew how. At Thanksgiving that year, my mother held a family reunion at her home in Cairo. She was able to keep our old family home, even after moving to Columbus. Angela and I and the kids drove down for the holiday get-together. I had no idea how important that trip would turn out to be. It had been almost 5 years since my father had died. The reunion gave us a needed opportunity to spend some time with beloved relatives. Since Daddy's death, my brother, Bill, had graduated from high school, spent 2 years in the service, then gone on to college. We'd see him again over turkey and dressing. Mother had taken on various odd jobs to pay the bills. She finally settled on buying and selling antiques as a trade of choice. She even opened her own antique shop in her new home in Columbus. My little brother Don recalls, the first house we had in Columbus had no heat. It had hot water upstairs, but none downstairs, where Mother had her antique shop. She worked 7 days a week, long hours, hard work. She was always buying and selling pieces and trying to move all that furniture around by herself. I came home from school more than once to find my mattress on the floor. She'd sold my bed frame while I was at school. She gave and gave, worked all the time, and she never missed one of my games. Angela and I had been as supportive of Mother as possible. So had many others, but the years without Daddy had been rough for her. No 2 ways about it. Raising Don alone proved trying at times. Of the 3 sons, Don had been the daddy's boy. Losing his father sent Don into a shell for months. His schoolwork took a nosedive. Playing ball seemed to be the only thing he cared about. I took on the father role with Don and tried my best to help him through those years. Bill tested Mother too, in other ways. Headstrong, smart, and a bit of a troublemaker, Bill gave both my parents gray hairs in their teen years. His decisions to go into the service after high school gave Mother a little relief at home and a chance to focus on Don. In spite of it all, Mother's indomitable spirit and drive kept her going. She taught us the value of a positive attitude, to never give up. I was proud to see her live out her own philosophy, facing some of the hardest challenges in life. A disturbing conversation. After a wonderful Thanksgiving lunch, my cousin, Ted Harrison, nudged me toward the living room saying he wanted to show me something. Ted was a CPA, but recently he had started selling term insurance and investments with a company called ITT Financial Services. We sat down and he produced some company literature to show me a financial concept called buy term and invest the difference. It turned out to be a moment of destiny. Ted explained how I could buy $150,000 of decreasing term for about the same amount I paid for my $15,000 whole life or cash surrender value policy. I could take the $100 a month I was saving in my teacher's credit union at 5% interest and earn maybe 12 or 15% interest. How? By investing it directly into the American economy with a mutual fund. Perhaps a low-cost term insurance policy, he explained, would assure Angela and the kids of a lot more protection if I died unexpectedly. They would also be the benefactors of cash accumulating in a mutual fund at a far greater interest rate than a passbook savings account, or in my current whole life policy. I looked at Ted. What he told me didn't sink in. Ted, I said, I've never heard of term insurance. It's the oldest form of life insurance, he explained. It's been around for more than 100 years. In fact, term is the basis for all other forms of insurance. It's nothing more than pure death protection. Everyone in the financial services industry knows about it, but most companies don't sell it. Why, I asked. Because it's so cheap, Ted continued. Companies can't really make a profit selling term, and agents can't make a living on the low commissions. Even though most life insurance agents own term insurance for their own families, they are taught to sell the more expensive whole life cash value products to their clients. That doesn't make sense, I retorted. Right, said Ted. The cash surrender value life insurance concept is flawed. It's designed as a bundled product. The consumer has to buy term life insurance and the savings account in one policy. That means higher premiums, substantially higher, for the consumer. Of course, the life insurance agent gets a high commission. That's how he makes a living. Wait a second, I said, thinking hard. I want to be sure I understand this. For the same price I'm paying a month now for this $15,000 whole life policy, you say I could get $150,000 of term, $135,000 more. That's right, Ted nodded. You've got it. It hit me like a flash of lightning, sitting there in my parents' home. I thought back to my childhood. We never had any money. Nobody in Cairo did. Somehow, we all just worked hard and got by. I'd never really thought about insurance or investments, but since Daddy's death, I'd learned that a family acquaintance sold him several small whole life policies, and he'd paid huge amounts in premiums over the years. I just thought that was the way things were done with life insurance. You didn't have choices. You bought a little whole life policy, and then when someone died, you used it to pay for the funeral expenses. Buy term and invest the difference. $100,000. Whole life, $1,200. Term, $200. Save, $1,000. If what Ted told me was true, Daddy never knew any better. And here I was, 5 years later, putting my family in the same bad situation. If I died, I would leave Angela and the children with not enough money to live on for a year. A little savings in a teacher's credit union account and a $15,000 burial policy. Angela would walk away from my graveside in the same painful condition my mother faced now. I never knew a different option existed for life insurance. And this was not just a little difference. According to Ted, for the same price as my $15,000 whole life policy, I could buy term and have 10 times more coverage. I started to get mad. When I bought the whole life policy, I was an assistant football coach in Thomasville making $4,500 with a wife and 2 kids to support. A life insurance agent had sold me that little policy when we could have given me $150,000 for the same price. Why didn't he mention there was another better option? And term was most likely the option my agent used to insure his own family? There's something else you should understand about your whole life policy, Ted continued. It's either or. You either get your cash value at the end of the policy or you get the death benefit. You don't get both. What does that mean? I asked, feeling my blood rise. With your $15,000 policy, Ted explained, if you built up $10,000 in cash value and then died, Angela would get just the $15,000. The $10,000 you accumulated would go back to the company. How can that be? I asked, really disturbed now. It's how cash value policies work, Ted responded. Most people didn't understand that whole life policies are complicated, but it's true. You either get one or the other, but not both. I think a better way to handle your money is to keep your investments separate from your life insurance. That way, you get full benefits from both. You get your death benefit from your term policy, and you get a much better return on your investment by saving your money separately in a mutual fund. That's what buy term and invest the difference is all about, Art. I see, I mumbled. By now I was so mad I could barely see. Ted gave me a brochure and the conversation turned to other subjects, but my mind kept thinking over and over about Daddy's premature death and how much better off Mother would be right now if he'd known about term. $150,000 death benefit would have made a huge difference in her quality of life. And here I was, Coach Williams, heading down the same awful path with my family, discovering the truth. As we drove home the next day, I thought about our talk. It was plain as day to me that Ted didn't know what he was talking about. My cousin was a good guy and a good accountant, but new at this insurance thing. Obviously, he got something wrong. I grew up hearing that if a thing sounded too good to be true, then it probably was. Time to check it out for myself. Back in Columbus, I dropped Angela and the kids at home and raced over to the Bradley Memorial Library. Under term insurance, I found a large selection of information. Ted mentioned that Consumer Reports had a series of articles on term insurance, so I pulled them out. I also found articles in Changing Times, Money's Worth, and a book by Norman Dacey called What's Wrong with Your Life Insurance. I read it all. As I did, I felt my face get hotter and hotter. I could barely keep my seat. All of it said the same thing as Ted. Whole life was a ripoff, and term insurance was the better product for consumers. We're going to put a plug in it right there. And I think we are now getting started. What do you think would happen when a football coach with the passion and intensity to win a game starts to learn that life, which is not a game, but with the wrong information, you could lose big? This is about to get good. This is about to get good. I don't know if you guys understand what's about to happen next, but I can feel what's about to happen next. And the reason I'm excited is because I'm not the only one inside our Full Circle podcast community that's a little bit fired up about injustice. Coach Adam says, do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. I think we're about to get some inspiration to do just that. Once again, my name is Roderick H. Norville, Full Circle Podcast. What's your story? This has been LCAO Book Club. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow.